next activity in our Earth System poster series. So in this activity, we're going to have you do something specific with a data type, a particular column, and we're going to have you compare from one column against another column that's right beside it. So with your students or with the group that you've been working with, if you've had them split up in groups in our last activity, this would have been an activity where one group would have looked at cloud fraction, another group would have looked at surface temperature. If you do want to keep your students or your kids in those groups, that can also work for this activity, but feel free to organize people that you're working with in whatever way which fits best. But what we're going to have you do is designate a small little team with one column, let's say cloud fraction, and they're going to gather up with another small team and they're going to compare across. In this case, the second team would be precipitation. So the poster, this is looking a little closer at our poster now, is organized particularly so that certain data types compare really well with the one next to it. So it already kind of lets us know what our groups are going to be. So looking at the poster here, I'll pull them forward into groups. Go ahead with our next one. Here they are. So side by side, you can see here's our first pair, here's a central pair, and here's a third pair. And these ones have data types which naturally show patterns and systems between them. So for this example, I'll walk you through with a cloud fraction and precipitation. So when we start to look a little bit closer at these two, you'll see that patterns start to emerge. So areas, in this case, when we're looking at cloud fraction, very easily we can look at sub-Saharan Africa, an area which at this time of year is clear, it doesn't have cloud cover. And we come on over here to precipitation, we're going to see that there's just no precipitation showing there, so it's just white. And the precipitation map, areas where there's heavy precipitation start to show into greens and yellows and reds. And so right away you can say, oh, there's no clouds there, so there's actually no rain coming out of the clouds that aren't there. So it's pretty easy when you compare the two that way. Areas which have quite a bit of dense cloud cover, let's say right where my finger is here, you're looking at pretty heavy, dark white, full cloud cover, and sure enough, when we look at precipitation, we're seeing it there. So clouds that make precipitation, cumulonimbus, nimbus, these big stacking clouds are going to make a reflection and are going to show up as being impenetrable here. You're not seeing the landmass below at all. And then looking over here, you can see why. Okay, there's all kinds of water in there. In the higher latitudes, it might be precipitation as snow, and you can start to pick out patterns here on a greater scale. And already your eyes are probably going back and forth and you're looking at a perfect stripe here, the intertropical convergence zone, and then look at all that water, all that precipitation that's associated with that area where you have warm, moist air mixing. So what we'd like you to do for your first question is start to pick out patterns and see if you can describe what's there and why. The next question is one of how do these two relate? So your two columns, is it a direct relationship? Which is kind of what we're seeing here. Wherever we see clouds on this side, we're seeing precipitation noted on this side. That would be a direct relationship. You also might have two different data types that have an inverse relationship. So a piece of data which shows up somewhere strongly, when you look in that same spot in your other column, there's nothing there. And what does that mean? How is that inverse relationship explained? So we have a little trick here. I was playing around with ideas of how to show this visually too. So you can describe it, but then you might also, if you're someone who likes to play around with little computer tricks, you might try and show a relationship between two data sets by doing something like this. I took our cloud map, I made it opaque or transparent, which you can do in a whole number of programs, or even simply like a photo preview, not even a special program. You can go ahead and click on the image and then look at the attributes of the image if that's the language on your program, and you can slide a little bar around and make it look transparent. And this will allow you to take your precipitation map and actually drape them right over each other. And if it's a direct relationship, it might look like this, where you can say, wow, okay, cool, this is the base map underneath and then the cloud map on top of it, and you can say, oh, look at this, yep, right here, sub-Saharan Africa, clear, no precipitation. And down here, like Brazilian rainforest, you're looking at a lot of precipitation and a cloud cover. So kind of a unique way to illustrate a point that you're describing. So when you post to our Google Plus site, our assignments section, after doing this exercise, feel free to use any mode that best suits the conclusions you want to share, and we look forward to seeing what those are.